I remember living across the street from a school, and the playground fence came right up to the sidewalk, and weeds always grow in that little area. And I remember one day going out and saying, I'm tired of looking at that, and starting to pull the weeds. And you're right, several neighbors came out and said, can we help?
Are you a gardener?
I'm not a, well, my father was my grandfather was a florist.
Mm.
So I spent a lot of time hoeing uh, in between plants in the open field, like snapdragons and things. And then I also
You can keep
planted
going with
some
your
shrubs.
gardening, then you'll be happier, so you'll be ho ho hoing.
All that for that line.
Bada bing, bada boom.
I love being a straight man for you. That's very good. Okay. So one of the things you do, and I've heard about this, and I know it's a service you provide people. You used to be in the broadcasting and
Yeah.
television
Hmm.
and radio and production and all of that, and you help people kind of capture their life story, their legacy story, the stories they want to pass on video. Talk about that.
I would get a call from somebody saying, Grandma's 82. She's still cogent. She's still very aware, but she's got some great stories to tell, and we need to capture them. So we would go in and do our due diligence and research with Grandma and then collect that story. Collect that story through media like film and video, through audio, and then tell that story by print or by a video or something like that. A lot of families say have some excuses, and they say, "Well, there's no time." Yes, there is time. You take an hour, and you can start this process. Or they don't have the interviewing or the journalism skills. I teach them how to get through by that. They say they say the technology is too complicated. Technology is really very simple now. We've got digital media that makes sure that Grandma's story then travels down the line 200 years to your descendants, and that in 200 years from now, those descendants say, "That's where we came from. That's Grandma Brown. Her blood flows in us." And that's the value of doing it. So I give people the chance to let us go in and as story finders and tellers, collect that story, produce that story so it's in the family and it's not going to go anywhere because it's digital technology, ones and zeros, it's in the cloud. And 500 years from now, people can look at it and say, well, they look kind of funny, but geez, that's our great, 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 great grandma. And it's good. It's a great feeling. I have got a picture of my great grandparents who came from Ireland in about 1870, and they are standing by their pump, and they're looking like Hutterites or Europeans that came over. And I would love to have a story of their life. I mean, how cool would it be to know if they could tell us what the struggles were and the joys and this awful land they had to make a living out of and build and to feed themselves and in their particular case, 5 out of the 12 kids who died. Tell me that would be a great story to know. But they didn't have the technology back then. That wasn't their focus. We're lucky. We have the technology. We have, if you want to have the focus, and there's lots of ways to collect the stories and just don't let them disappear. Don't go to that final resting place of somebody and say, "I'm sorry, George, we didn't collect your story," and it's gone. So
Very
we help people get them.
very good. Books available, I assume, on Amazon.com and all the
Yes.
normal places.
Yep. And you can, if you it's not at your local bookstore, they'll order it for you.
Okay.
And it's an ebook also if you want to look on it on a tablet or your e-reader. And
And how can people contact you? We talked about the services with the video
yeah,
production and all of that. Do you have a website?
the website is there. It's called createmylegacy.com. You'll see it in the book too. And I'm happy to spend some time with people on the phone because I do get a great deal of joy out of seeing somebody move, either their own little legacy letter or getting Grandpa's story, or creating their own legacies, which could be, as they say, a garden or an international charity. So I'll spend some time with them and don't be afraid to call, and then we'll decide if we move forward.
And you also do speaking as well on this, right?
Fair bit, yeah. I really enjoy that. It's fun. Well, it's fun. What it's like when you've got a crowd with you, and people are saying, "Wow, I could do that," and I make sure that they know it's not difficult. It's not about money and death and the darkest part of what legacy seems to be. Just as an aside, all the financial people I talked to said, we've stolen the word legacy. And yeah, they did. Well, I want to get it back and make it fun and enjoyable and something that because everything we do trails us. Everything we do in life follows behind us. I'm saying here's some ways to make sure the stuff behind you is pretty cool and life affirming.
Well, I know I talked to some people recently, and I said, if you could pass on only your values and not your money, or only your money and not your values to your children, which would you pick?
Instantly.
And they all say, my values.
Yeah.
what's important to me, the family traditions, all of that.
You probably know there's oh boy, I'm gonna lose. There's a large insurance company in America that did 2 studies, and it asked the boomers, "What do you want?" And it was not the money; it was the stories. 100%.
Oh,
It
interesting.
was the stories. Take mom and dad, keep the money. Make sure I have all the stories before you go.
There you go.
And that confirmed in my mind early in my research that yes, we're on the right track.
All right, make sure your story, the story of your parents, the story of your spouse, all the stories of your family get passed on to the next generation and generations after that so that you live on. If the story lives on, you live on.
Hmm.
So you know where to go now. Wish we had more time. This is really exciting. I know you got a million more stories. So, anyway, you guys stay tuned. We'll be right back after this break.